Hello again, friends. We're going to do a little Peter Pan bit on the show tonight as we welcome you into 2024. Almost literally, it's a late night recording on a Sunday, and we are going to steal or take from the poor and give to the slightly less poor by letting you know who Dave Brown and I would take from other AL Central teams to put on the Twins if we were given the option. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
A little bit of a false start there, but we're off and running on Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNEN. Joining me is my trusted cohort and overall good dude, Dave Brown. Answer Dave Brown on the Twitter machine. How are we doing tonight?
Hi, Brandon. It was a long day at work, but I'm here now and I'm ready to steal for the Twins.
As I understand, you had a brush with celebrity today. Do you care to share?
I get now your pun.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows anything about Bill James, the baseball guru writer, at one time he was a security guard before he got famous. Now, my situation right now is I'm like an underemployed sports writer, so I've got a lot of different jobs that I do to make ends meet. And one of them is a security person at the Chiefs games in Kansas City. Kind of also, Bill James is from Kansas City. It's weird. It's kind of a strange coincidence, but
Synergy.
It is. Well, Synergy was in Cincinnati. Synergy.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm thinking of the old. Yeah. Okay.
But as everybody knows, the number one fan of the Chiefs right now is Taylor Swift. She's dating Travis Kelce. And I saw Taylor Swift today. I was at a vantage point where I was trying to keep people from climbing onto a truck to get a better view of the players' parking lot where the Chiefs come in. And Taylor Swift also came in this way. And there was paparazzi there. It was very strange. And adult women crying. And I saw Taylor Swift get in a golf cart and go to her seat. And it was fun. She's kind of been around, and I had not had an opportunity to enjoy Tay-Tay in person. Mm-hmm. And now I've seen her in person from 100 feet away. And one of the nice fans gave me some videos so I could show to my daughter, who's a big Taylor Swift fan. And that's what I did today. It was very it motivated me to no end, but it was a tiring day keeping the people safe so they could see Taylor Swift. So that's sort of what I did.
Well, these are the days of our lives, right? Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, also on YouTube and as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Again, we encourage you to be active in the comments section. Thanks again, FTL Nova Kid, for the thumbs up on every show. We appreciate you greatly, you specifically, but also you understood, the whole group of you, because without you, the show would not exist. Speaking of today's show, it is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. So if your team wins, you get $150 in bonus bets. So that's $150 on FanDuel. FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. You know whose team didn't win tonight, Dave Brown?
Is it your team?
Sadly, yeah. Don't want to talk about too much, but a funny occurrence. At halftime, my TV died. Done.
Cool.
Kaput. 3 years old. 4. It'll be 4.
It's not very old.
We got it during COVID. Our neighbors bought it. The wife got mad, and so the husband sold it to me. And it is. Again, these are the days of our lives. But it almost felt like poetic. You know,
the Vikings killed your TV. Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah, I'll send him a bill, I guess. But yeah, it's almost poetic. Your team's getting their junk kicked in on national TV at home with a playoff spot on the line. Yeah. So anyway, that's where I'm at mentally. So I'm ready to steal some players from other AL Central teams and make this Twins team a super team.
For sure.
And I don't know. I thought this. I saw the exercise on the Twitter machine. Someone was talking about the one player they would steal, and for me, there's some debate for, well, maybe the number one player is pretty obvious, but past that, there's some really good choices. But we can't just do one player. How do you do a 30-minute episode with both of us saying one player and maybe the same player? So we're going to go from 5 to 1, and then we'll talk a little news and notes and get everybody out of here and celebrating New Year's, because I'm sure they've been waiting with bated breath for this episode to drop.
Yes.
We're both just kind of like we're both in different places in life, and both, I think, equally like bleary-eyed if people aren't watching on the stream. So we're gonna get through this and we're gonna have a lot of fun, but just bear with us.
I cannot make my eyes look unbleary. You're right.
I realize I'm going off on a tangent here, but one of my favorite things to do when I'm working during the day is to watch the old Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack. And as one does.
As one does.
And I'm positive that if Robert Stack was still alive today, maybe 104, or 103, I'm positive that even in high def, his face would still be blurry. I'm just convinced Robert Stack was a blurry image in the face. So
we'd have to get those I don't even know exactly how to explain it, but there are these people out there that make better 70s and 80s video recordings of football games. They run it through some kind of machine and fill in the blanks, and everybody, it sort of looks like how maybe you would have seen it had you been watching in those days. And if we did that to Robert Stack, I can only imagine what the results would be.
Yeah, World War II in color, that sort of thing. Let's talk about our number 5 player on the list. So, again, we're going to make you wait for the good stuff. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you're really going to have to wait because we do a live premiere. Who is your number 5?
Well, I have 6 for some reason.
That's fine. Let's roll with it. You want me to tell you who my 6th would have been?
Yeah, tell me.
I'm looking at the war list right now just because I like to have that as a backup. Probably Tanner Bybee would be 6. It would either be Bybee. Dylan Cease is going to be a free agent, so I can't really take him. Andres Jimenez would be a good pick. I like Steven Kwan. Again, a corner guy who doesn't hit for power is kind of tricky, but right. It would probably be Bybee for me, who a lot of people said would be their like number 1 choice when I was kind of looking around, which I don't know about number 1, but I think anywhere in the top 5 would be okay.
I have an amusing choice. KENTA Maeda. Let's just bring him back,
Sure.
Get him off the Tigers, bring him back to the Twin Cities.
I like it.
He's kind of my number 6, but looking at the list, that seems pretty funny. So KENTA Maeda.
Well, I think we should note too, at least when I prepared for this exercise, I went about it as though you inherit the player in their current state, in their current age, in their current contract situation. So a 31-year-old Jose Ramirez versus a 20-something Steven Kwan versus a 20-something Bo Naylor, all these different factors, they all apply. I just want to make sure that I'm clear about that. If you didn't do that, speak now or forever hold your peace, Dave Brown.
I wanted to steal people and make the Twins better now, and that's really all I was thinking about.
Okay.
I like all your facets and your permutations, but we maybe did it a little different. So, but I think that's okay.
Well, such is life. My number 5 is Tariq Skubal, lefty, nasty lefty for the Tigers. Has had struggles to stay healthy. But in 80 1/3 innings this year, 15 starts, he was worth 3.3 FanGraphs WAR. Now, I'm not a smart man, but if you double that, get you to 160 innings, which is it's not a workhorse load, but it's pretty good these days.
Yeah.
Get about a 6-win pitcher there. Last year, the AL Central leader in pitcher WAR, I believe, was Sonny Gray. Based on the one I'm looking at, it says 5.3. But in theory, if you could keep Tariq Skubal healthy, you could have one of the very best pitchers in the AL Central. And spoiler alert, that's the only pitcher on my list.
Interesting.
Which is interesting because the Twins need pitching above all, but I can't invest in it like in this exercise.
Right. He is quite an interesting case. I'm trying to think of what is the injury that he's coming back from.
Well, so he just turned 27, by the way. That's an important factor. I think he hurt his arm. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pulling it up now because I want to make sure that I am 150% accurate. I want to say it was an elbow, but I'm not sure.
It's not a shoulder, is it? Because I hate those.
No, but I feel like if it was a shoulder, he wouldn't have pitched as well as he did down the stretch. That's why I kind of feel more comfortable about it. And he made 15 starts. I mean, like, you don't start a season. A lot of times when a guy, it's his elbow. He broke his elbow. Or no, I'm thinking of the meme that I always use. He had an elbow. So, I mean, whatever. No big deal. Lefty, good stuff. Yeah, I say no big deal like it's my elbow. I'm just dumb. But the fact that he pitched as well as he did coming off that, to me, makes him my easy choice as the pitcher I would want to most steal. Lefty, righty doesn't matter to me that much, but the Twins don't really have a lefty option, especially not one with anywhere near the stuff that Tariq Skubal has.
Right.
If you wanted to say Tanner Bybee, if you wanted to say Gavin Williams, if you wanted to even say Cole Reagans, I would not have a problem with most of those guys. But for me and my money, Tariq Skubal, number 5.
Well, you've got Skubal, a great choice. I've mentioned Kenta Maeda. You said before that we couldn't take Dylan Cease, and that just ruins. I was going to take Dylan Cease off the list.
I said I wouldn't. He'd be right on that cusp because he's just so good. And honestly, I'd probably just try to give him like $100 and some million and keep him. But if I'm stealing him, I'll give him some money and keep him. That's fine.
I just thought about him in the context of, again, who can we just take who I think is going to have a good year, who's going to help the Twins win. And
he's exactly what they need.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what I was thinking there. And I think I don't know. I also feel like this isn't part of the exercise, but like the Twins could get him cheap. That doesn't really make any sense because we're just stealing him. We're not trading anything.
No, that's really cheap. That's like the epitome of cheap.
Right.
5-finger discount.
He's that's a guy I think he's going to miss bats. He's going to be a really good playoff starter. I think he's due. I think last year his results were a little bit worse than he pitched, and some of it also was just the what I would imagine to be dread of coming to work every day for the White Sox when it was just not very fun.
Yeah.
That had, I think, something to do with his it wasn't mediocre. It wasn't that good, but it was, kind of the down season that he had compared to other seasons. So I think he's ready to roar back in a big way. It's too bad that the White Sox don't have too many more guys for them. But, if he could roar back for the Twins, doggone it, that would be great.
I'm just looking here. I think I represented every team on my list, which is cool. Anyway, let's take a quick pause. We're going to do our talk about our friends at FanDuel. When we come back, we'll finish this off because my top 4 and your top 4, I suspect, are going to be different. But again, let's talk about our friends over at FanDuel. Winter is here. It's getting colder, and the NFL offers, though, are hot on FanDuel. got a dusting of snow, and it was bitterly cold here, relatively speaking. 19 degrees right now, which has been pretty cold when you compare to the 40s and 50s we've been in the last few weeks. But
that's cold enough, definitely.
Exactly. Right now, though, if you're a new customer, you get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet on FanDuel. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, if you've been on the fence, if you haven't been sure, no better time than right now to get in on the action. The app, super easy to use. All different types of betting options. There's spreads, player props, overs, unders, you name it. They've got it. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season as we actually come down the stretch run with just 1 week of games left in the regular season. But again, $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. And so we're into the bullpen. I'm not going to address actual bullpens because who wants a reliever in something like this?
I have one on my list, but
shoot. Okay, I thought you might. You know what? As soon as I started saying it, I'm like, crap, Emmanuel Clase exists.
Well, that might be the man, too. That might be the actual pitcher.
Oh, it's not Tyler Holton?
It's not. I'm not. I don't want to sound – I'm not sure who that is, Brandon. I'm not sure. Emmanuel Clase, I know who that is. So I'm not sure.
I think Tyler Holton had a really nice year for the Tigers, but he's like 27, 28. There's one guy on Twins Twitter that is just obsessed with him, and it's a little concerning. Who's your number 4? Or do you want me to do mine first?
You go ahead.
Riley Green.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I noticed in the AL Central? Like, nobody has a good on-base percentage of the young players. You know, I'm not going to go down the list because I'd probably then mess up the rest of my list. But it's a lot of guys that have like a 315 on base, good slugging percentage, good defense. But to find someone like Edouard Julien is an outlier in this division.
Yeah.
I went with Riley Green, age, position, and I felt like he really came on and looked really, really good as the season wore on. The Twins do need help in the outfield, and that factors into the decision-making process to some extent. But to me, there were 3 better options than him. But I love Riley Green. I think he is going to be a thorn in the side of the rest of the AL Central for a very, very long time. Just does a lot of things well. I'll be eager to see what his defensive profile looks like in a bigger sampling because near as I could tell, at least the Fangraphs defensive metrics were kind of on him. But yeah, Riley Green, bright young future. You need a center fielder, whether Byron Buxton is out there or not. If Byron is out there, you move Riley to a corner and you have a luxury.
Well, on that note of you picking Riley Green, I picked Spencer Torkelson.
I like it.
His teammate, right-handed power. I really like – it was kind of subtle. It wasn't like – it didn't overwhelm you, but he really appeared to finally – not finally, but get it. You know, productive hitter, good at bats. You know, the raw numbers aren't there yet, but I really like how he hit for power and got on base in the second half compared to the first half. Yep. It's, I mean, he would be absolutely perfect for the Twins. You know, a young right-handed, powerful dude to play first base, and that's why I picked him. I love Riley Green too, but Torkelson I thought was a better fit.
No, that's actually a good point because you get a right-handed stick, first base. In September, he hit, as I was saying, 257 with a 317 on base and a 505 slugging. So just your garden variety AL Central hitter who is finding his way.
That's good, though, for that ballpark. That ballpark is, you know, it's an airport. I mean, they've shrunk it again, but you put it into that kind of context, and it's I think he would hit better in at Target.
Honey, I Shrunk the Comerica. 244, 329, 526, so an 855 OPS from August 1st on. And in the second half, 816 OPS, but you know, so dipped down a little bit, but 19 homers in the second half, which not bad at all. Only 12 in the first half.
He was really poor in the first half, and it was looking like he was going to have to go back to the minors. It was, I can't imagine he was much longer than a week from going back to Toledo. But I think he got out of it. He pulled himself up.
Toledo was actually a Twins affiliate for a while. In fact, I believe that's where Kirby Puckett was called up from. So
was it Doug Minkiewicz Toledo era as well, or
no? He would have been
Rochester
or maybe Salt Lake. They did Edmonton for a minute, Salt Lake, Rochester, and now St. Paul, which is such a good fit. Number 3, and this guy is signed long term. He's not as young as you would hope, but Jose Ramirez. And again, Twins flush with infielders, but it's Jose Ramirez. Like, you're not gonna just say, "Oh, we're not gonna put Jose Ramirez at third when we have Royce Lewis at second or whatever, and Carlos Correa at short." That's a luxury.
One of the best players of the now.
Yeah. So for me, Jose Ramirez was number 3. You can make a case for him anywhere 1 through 3 for me, and I wouldn't fight too hard, mostly because I'm just really tired. But yeah, I mean, one of my favorite Jose Ramirez things, and I don't know if there's a GIF of it or if it's just a video, but he hit a homer off, I think it was Ricky Nolasco at the Jake or whatever it was called then, and he kind of pimped it. And this was when he was still a light hitting, middle infielder, kind of finding his way, and he pimped the crap out of it. And both Paul Molitor and Kurt Suzuki are photographed yelling, "Get the bleep off the field," standing on the top step. Like, you hit one off Ricky Nolasco. Everyone hits a homer off Ricky Nolasco, especially
I remember this incident.
Yeah, late stage Ricky Nolasco, which was not pretty. But anyway, that's my Jose Ramirez story. For me, though, he could play for me any day. I never understand how he can be as fast as he does, because it looks like he's got 2 different length feet or legs when he's running.
Right.
But God, he's a good player. He's so good.
He is. I remember that incident you're talking about, because it was strange to see Molitor so emotional about anything, and in that way, and that was very. I don't know if it did Jose learn anything from that. I'm not saying he had to, but did he change how he approached things after that? I mean, maybe, but
he started playing good.
Right. If nothing else.
There's a thing here I got to tell you about. I found this on Pristine Auction, and it was the Paul Molitor ejection report from September 14th, 1995. And it was YYZ batter Paul Molitor was called out on appeal of a half swing. It's hard to read. He stepped out of the batter's box, took his bat over his back toward the bench, immediately turned to the first base umpire and said, "You suck, you bleeping suck," and was ejected immediately. I don't. Maybe this isn't the one that I thought I saw. There was one where he had said something along the lines of something about geography or something. I kind of botched that. I apologize, but
well, if I understand what you're talking about, this is like a handwritten report to the umpires.
It's Al Clark, and it's really hard to read. But it's like, "You suck, you bleeping suck," and it's not. And you could buy that. The Pristine Auction sold the report, like it was the original.
Right.
I wish I would have seen it when it was for sale, because I think I might have bought that.
It is funny the things you can buy. I remember interviewing Al Clark around the time that the umpires were going on strike, and there was
99.
Yes, yeah, and
some of those guys didn't get hired back.
No, they didn't.
Like big names too.
I've always kind of wondered about that too, with Major League Baseball sort of putting the umpires in their place, and it doesn't. It seems like they're as powerful as they were, and it's never really made sense to me that that's the case, because it seemed like MLB fired them like Reagan fired the air traffic controllers, and it was just but yet they still have their gravitas about things. I've never gotten that really.
They're like police enthusiasts. It's like they just like people who enforce the law at their discretion. I'm actually reading, or I've been reading for a while, Durwood Merrill's book, You're Out and You're Ugly Too, or something like that. And it's like a colorful character umpire. He passed a few years ago, actually probably quite a few years ago, but I've been plodding through it on my listening device, and it's a fun read, but gives you a good idea of what umpires are like. Because they travel around the world with each other. It's like the same crew to different places. And so lots of fun stuff in there. Anyway,
let's check that out. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah. Did you give your number 3 yet? I said Jose Ramirez, and I kind of left you out.
I'm not sure about the numbers. I've said Cease, Torkelson, Maeda. I mentioned Clase. Seth Lugo is my alternate to Kenta Maeda, just because he was a guy that I kind of wanted the Twins to add in free agency, and it didn't happen. So I kind of wanted to rewrite history in that sense and bring him in.
The Royals offseason has been interesting. I still don't think they're very good, but it's interesting.
I kind of agree with you. Yeah. I don't know exactly what the Royals have, how you add it up exactly, but and the Royals have one of those low on base dudes with Bobby Witt too. It's although maybe he's going through a transformation, but
I hope so, because he's on my list.
There you go.
to steal a phrase. Yes. Number 2 for me, and so when I answered the question on Twitter, which actually spurred this discussion in the first place, I said Luis Robert without hesitation. And he's 26. He's a superstar. Plays center field, which is, it would be a nice fit for the Twins, especially because, and I'll just spoil it now, number 1 for me is Bobby Witt Jr. The Twins are stronger at shortstop between Correa, Lewis, Brooks Lee, probably a few that are not born yet who are going to be top prospects that the Twins will eventually land. So for me, I could go either way. Witt, though, won't be 23 until I think it was June. So he's about 3 years younger, on that superstar path. You could argue he's there already. He does everything you want a player to do. He's just kind of finding where those levels are for him, like defense, speed, taking walks, power. He hit a walk-off grand slam against the Twins, and I'm just like, this guy is going to be a freaking pest. So for me, it was Luis Robert 2, Bobby Witt Jr. 1. And again, both guys on base percentage of like 317. Like Austin 316 says, I don't get on base. I don't know.
And Witt was a guy who first couple of months of last season, we were all kind of wondering, well, I mean, kind of Bobby, where is it? He's strikeouts can be an issue. Finding walks can be an issue. And I think that's like the main thing that he's sort of worked out or is working on.
And he's 22. I mean, you can easily remember that.
Yes. And it is hard to, you kind of want it all at once. You want the full package right out of the gate. And we just needed to be more patient with him, basically. Obviously, a great, talented player. I didn't pick him just because I figure Correa is going to bounce back. And, I don't know if I have like a lot of reason to think that, but I think it's just a hunch. I think.
Yeah, I think he forgot how to play baseball.
Right.
So I went Tariq Skubal, Riley Green, Jose Ramirez, Luis Robert, Bobby Witt Jr. You had. Do you have your list handy?
Yeah. Well, I had Robert was the last guy. I figured I kind of thought you were going to pick him. So Cease, Torkelson, Maeda. I mentioned Clase like in passing, and Lugo. I thought Clase makes a lot of sense. Stick him at the end, maybe not at the end of the bullpen, but
him and Duran would be insane.
It would be just crazy, and he's got an affordable contract.
That would be better than Wade Davis and Greg Holland, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean that was a special thing.
It'd be in that range.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, who's their third? Luke Hochevar?
1 year, yeah.
Kelvin Herrera was there too.
Yeah, Kelvin Herrera was
A
basically
really
like
good bullpen. I mean, holy smokes.
hey, they won the World Series, more or less.
Yeah, right. Well, that was a fun exercise. I want to hit a couple of news and notes, and we'll get out of here quick.
Right.
Where Frankie is in Cincinnati, 1 year, $16 million deal. Not egregious if you get the best version of Montas, but I think you have to get probably at least 80-85% of him to make him worth that. To me, it's not about the money. It's more about the fact that even if he's Frankie Montas of old, you only have him for 1 year. That's a bigger gamble to spend $16 million on that. I think what the Twins need to spend money on is more certain things, and then their risks will come in the form of lower end financial guys who maybe you need everything to go right, and Alex Wood is good. Or, I think their risks are going to be a little more measured. Whereas if they make a trade, they're going to trade for a guy who they feel pretty strong about being at least a stable player. Whereas with Montas, you might literally get nothing for $16 million.
He
didn't do anything in a third last year.
Not to beat this dead horse, I worry about pitchers who've had shoulder injuries.
Yep.
And that's I wasn't sure with Tariq Skubal what he was coming back from, but they are just more of a concern, generally speaking, than elbows. I mean, even though elbow can be the dreaded Tommy John, when you have a shoulder issue, so much of your power base is questionable there. So I'm fine with the Twins ignoring Frankie, and the Reds have made some interesting decisions and additions, and I'm also not sure exactly how it adds up for them either. But there are better options. There are better options for the Twins.
Blue Jays interested in Jock Peterson. If Peterson wasn't a lefty swinger, I think he would probably be of more interest to the Twins. But he's a line mover. I feel like he'd be like the guy you would have as your number 6 hitter, and you'd be totally cool with it. Like 6-7 on a really, really, really strong lineup. Like if he went to the Atlanta Braves, he'd probably hit 7th. But on a perfectly solid lineup, you have him down there as a chain mover. He's not a utility infielder, though, so I don't think he's going to land with the Blue Jays.
Well, I don't know. I think I like Kepler in right field anyway, and you have more dimensions with him and a younger person. And I mean, Jock's a good clubhouse guy, and but I don't know. It's still not an ideal fit with the Twins. So, like you said, even though he's not a multi-positional infielder, hyphenated dude, maybe he'll end up there anyway in Toronto.
Mike Petriello made a good point by getting Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He said they should go for Kyle Farmer next and just corner the market on guys who can, in theory, catch with Dalton Varsho. And I said, well, then Eduardo Escobar. Eduardo Escobar was the emergency catcher for the Twins in like 2016. So and again, utility infielder. I mean, he checks off multiple boxes.
But I'm sure the Twins appreciate you trying to save them some money by getting players that can do 11 things.
Yeah, well, they probably have to end up trading Kyle Farmer in that instance. Zach Plesac is getting a major league deal with the Angels, which is stunning. He was absolutely dreadful last year, but I think that kind of goes to show where the Angels are at and where MLB is at with pitchers who've had success in any reasonable amount of time ago. But I didn't think he'd get a big league deal for sure.
I don't know if I'm surprised or not. He did have a little bit of success a few years ago that was intriguing. I think maybe he was out over his skis a little bit in terms of the results were better than like any prospect people thought would be with him. So I'm not sure. It's the Angels. This is definitely not a Shohei kind of situation. They're they're doing the best they can, I guess. I don't know.
They're not in their position to turn their nose up at pitching depth.
Right. So we'll see if he can turn it around. I've met his dog. I met his dog in spring training, and she's an amazing animal. So hopefully that's a group package.
Oh, I hope so too. Last thing I got, not really Twins adjacent or anything, but Chris Sale plus cash for Vaughn Grissom. Sale obviously in the AL Central before. He was a real cut up with the White Sox, and then my friend Dan Hayes, our friend Dan Hayes was I believe he was there when that happened, and
he helped Chris Sale cut up the jerseys. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think what they were doing was they were cutting up uniforms for like relic baseball cards,
Right.
So I think maybe he was just trying to do the right thing.
I've got something like that. It's funny. It's I don't know. It's a Kershaw card, and supposedly there's like some material or something from something he wore in this card. I don't get it. This is one thing about baseball cards I don't understand, but I have this card, and I just had it standing by. So
incredible! It was like it was meant to be. I've been sorting through mine, and I have an entire box of my relics. We got a Mookie Betts City Connect here. But anyway, this isn't Locked On Baseball Cards. I digress. It'll be interesting to see because Atlanta wanting Chris Sale. Anytime Atlanta wants somebody, like makes you wonder because they're
what are
the way they're built right now. Like, do they think Chris Sale is gonna come in and turn back the clock? He had moments with Boston this last year, but he's not Chris Sale of old.
That is many years old at this point. This is a long time ago.
And Grissom is a nice player. Like the Red Sox did well here.
I don't know. I'm not sure. You would think that the Braves would know something about Grissom. He's sketchy on defense, kind of a unusual hitting profile, but still
not a shortstop.
Definitely not. Yep. Maybe not even a second baseman. But he should be able to produce statistics on the offensive side in that ballpark going forward. I hope he does.
Are the Red Sox going to be good? Again, not Locked On Red Sox. Gabby, I think our friend Gabby does that show, but
I'm not ready to say that. No,
I don't think they're going to be any good, and so it makes sense to go get a younger player and let some of these younger pitchers like Brian Bello and Whitlock and Cutter Crawford and all that figure it out.
The staff ace is Lucas Giolito right now.
Right. So
I don't know. I don't know. I don't.
Maybe Giolito said it's me or him. I'm kidding. But
he absolutely would not do that. But that's why it's funny.
So Lucas Giolito signs with the Red Sox. The Red Sox trade Chris Sale to the Braves, where Reynaldo Lopez is, and it's the first time that Lucas Giolito in his career has not been on a team with Reynaldo Lopez.
That would have been savage had the Braves traded Reynaldo Lopez to the Red Sox. Yeah. So they could have been reunited or whatever the word would be.
Well, I think that's against the rules. But
is it?
Once you first signed, I think you can't be traded until like June.
Oh.
It used to be the rule was June 1. I don't know what it is now. But nevertheless,
I'm going to go look that up.
We're circling the drain here. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year to everybody listening. I got a little cider here that we can cheers to everybody. Why don't we do this again tomorrow, Dave? We'll come back. Working on a few ideas. I was thinking free agents that you forgot the Twins signed over the years. Yeah, we're coming for you, Mike.
Concept.
Adam Everett, we're coming for you.
Adam Everett. When did that happen?
2007.
Let's not spoil it.
07 or 08. But anyway, the cesspool of shortstop around the late Metrodome years. But anyhow, thank you so much for hanging out on Locked On Twins. He's Dave Brown. I'm Brandon Warren. You can find both of our Twitter machine addresses on the screen here, or just look us up. We're easy to find. But anyway, thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow night.